All right, welcome back to What She Said Sports, everybody. All right, so y'all know the game happened, and y'all know that the Browns fans got cheated. Shedeur got robbed, led by head coach Kevin Stefanski, who quickly decided to easily be accountable. He couldn't say the word Wildcat, but he wanted to be accountable for the way the game ended. Blame me. Then he said he makes all the calls, blame him. So people think he's covering for Tommy Rees. I personally don't think Tommy Rees called two failed Wildcats. I think Kevin Stefanski took Shedeur off the board, out the game twice. Again. Why? So they could lose. It is time for Browns fans to admit to themselves. I don't care if you bleed orange and brown or just you new to the situation, or even if you came in with Shedeur, or if you came in with Johnny Manziel, you could be a Shedeurian, you could be an auntie, you could be whatever. If you think for 5 seconds that what happened in today's game to lose a winnable game at multiple times, and they did a lot to lose. They made sure to lose. So much so that people wondering, is gambling happening in Cleveland? Is this part of a gambling scandal? Is it far-fetched? No. Why? Because there are players that play in Cleveland for a baseball team called the Guardians. And one of them I was reading about today is being charged with throwing games, and he was paid money to throw the games. So it is time to ask the question, is Kevin Stefanski either A, gambling, or like in the NBA and in MLB, being paid to throw games, or is Kevin Stefanski gambling and paying players like number 72 to take a dive? The entire O-line failed Shedeur Sanders. The entire O-line, and it was intentional. It was not an accident at all. Once you saw Shedeur get in a position to get 2 touchdowns, nobody could hold on to a football. To the point where Shedeur only had himself, possibly Quinshawn Junkins at some point when they weren't holding him back, or Harold Fannin Jr., who will likely be in triple coverage going forward because they play the Bears next. Understand this. Taking Shedeur off the field when they get to the red zone is offensive. You have tried this Wildcat before, it failed. You tried it before, you succeeded. You tried it again, it failed. You know, since the first time you tried a Wildcat, you have a quarterback who's hella accurate. And the moment you let him throw, he can score. But that's the reason you shut him down, take them out, and call a Wildcat. Understand this. We discussed Rays. People think they know why it is the Browns are throwing games, right? Oh, they don't like Shedeur. Stefanski wants to go back to Dylan. They want to tank to get a first-round pick. They have 2 first-round picks. There's nothing Dylan could do to get back on the field following Shedeur's Super Bowl caliber performance. Shedeur set records, broke records, and his passer rating is listed as elite. Elite. And this is with the sabotage. For those people in the media who tried to talk down the sabotage, that was their job. That's what they were paid to do. You know what else they were paid to do this week? Talk about anything other than the fact that Shedeur Sanders, when he won that Raiders game and put them in the hunt for the playoffs, they were paid to talk about anything other than what would happen if Shedeur led them to victory today. But immediately after the game, they quickly told you the Browns were eliminated from playoffs. Now, understand this. The Browns went to the playoffs in 2023. They could have gone back. One, they're scared to talk about. Imagine if Shedeur had started the season like he was supposed to, because he was supposed to be their franchise QB at number 2 overall, like he currently is at pick 144. That's a whole problem right there. There will never be a valid excuse to take Shedeur off the draft board, to lock especially when you say you don't want quarterbacks like Shedeur before the combine, which meant you knew you didn't want him, but you decided to entertain him and his followers through the draft, and you thought you were going to cut him in the preseason. Shedeur is a Super Bowl caliber quarterback. Some people say he looked like Tom Brady in the fourth quarter. He's already been put in the category with Joe Burrow. 4 touchdowns. 4. Despite the fact that your coach didn't get you warmed up with the play calling. Despite the fact that your entire O-line failed you until they flipped the damn switch and start letting you throw the ball, and you still had to overcome your O-lineman. One of the reasons people are calling for an investigation into gambling, because I think it's more sinister than gambling, but I'm going to entertain gambling. One of the reasons people want Stefanski investigated for gambling is because he intentionally called plays and called personnel into the game and out of the game to rig the talent available to protect Shedeur. Wyatt Teller being benched was unjustifiable. There was never any evidence of an injury, which they said it was, which opens the door to investigate fake injuries. There was never any performance issue. All Wyatt Teller did was hold Shedeur up in the air and celebrate. So that's called retaliation. So they moved him aside because he would help Shedeur. Then there was the issue with the right tackle that I told you was going to happen before today. I also said it was quite surprising that just like the media didn't talk about the what if scenarios for the Browns to win in the playoffs, the media didn't remind you incessantly Shedeur could lead them to victory in the playoffs. They intentionally didn't say it because they didn't want to go to the playoffs. And that's why they lost. That's exactly why they lost. They cheated and robbed their fans. After years of this team being consistently underperforming, a spark here or there, they found consistency with Shedeur, and they don't want it. There's something more sinister going on here where Shedeur is concerned. We watched Shedeur get abused all spring and summer, and like a switch, Kevin Stefanski wants to speak nicely of Shedeur. And when Shedeur plays, he finds his satisfaction in sabotaging him. The media wanted to say it was ridiculous. Oh, it absolutely was not. Kevin Stefanski traumatized Shedeur. This year, he tried his best. Shedeur balled out in the Panthers game, and they wanted to say it was a fluke after this young man has hours and hours and years of film and accolades and set records and had his jersey retired. And they knew all of this because they supposedly studied him because he was going to be their number 2 overall pick. So they knew what to expect of Shedeur. They just didn't want it. We're at a place, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, Stefanski should be investigated for gambling. Absolutely. Absolutely. But the Browns should be investigated for racketeering, fixing and rigging games. Did they fix and rig games when Dylan was in? Maybe look at the stats in the personnel and see. Did they fix and rig games when Shedeur was in? Yeah, we could see it. A blind man could see it because Shedeur is elite. At any moment he gets an opportunity, it's smooth sailing. And the moment he does well, they lock down the offense. Number 72 created critical penalties. He is a third string right tackle, a personnel decision that Stefanski made, even though he had a better option. The veteran Cornelius Lucas was brought in as the second string right tackle, specifically to relieve Jack Conklin, who was benched. And Stefanski left a healthy Cornelius Lucas on the bench for the third string option. There is never a justification for making players compete for positioning and paying Lucas $5 million this year and going to KT Levingston, who caused intentionally critical penalties, fell on the ground? Is Kevin Stefanski using the imbalance of power by playing KT Levingston, who's thirsty to make the team? So quid pro quo, you do this for me, I'll do this for you. It's not a coincidence. The entire O-line failed Shedeur. Last week, Joel Botonio, who should have been benched, was dirt diving in the front. Today, he fell backwards, and it looked like his goal was to fall on Shedeur. Like the Baltimore Ravens guard fell on Lamar Jackson's ankle and had him out the game. And I heard the ending to their game was heartbreaking. I have made the comparison between Shedeur and Lamar multiple times. Shedeur is being colluded against by his own head coach. Is he gambling? Considering we have people in Cleveland who are already accused of gambling at the professional sports level, it should be immediately investigated. Kevin Stefanski's personnel decisions and random benchings and lying about injuries and having to change the reason for Wyatt Teller being out from a calf injury to coach's decision after getting busted, having to bench Conklin after he was found dirt diving in a viral video, he was busted. And instead of going to the two, Cornelius Lucas, who is being paid $5 million and is a better pass rusher to protect the quarterback than KT Levingston, who is a third string and likely hungry to make the team, whereas Cornelius Lucas already got some of his guaranteed money, so he has no incentive to take a dive. The personnel decisions, the fake injuries, the random benching without proof need to be investigated for something way more sinister than gambling. But the faulty personnel decisions, the intentional sabotage, and leaving on the bench of the player you bought in and paid $5 million to use the player that's thirsty and on the league minimum, needs to be investigated for fraud. When I say racketeering, I mean racketeering, bribery. The players in the Guardians organization was accused of being paid to throw games. It is time to ask the question, is Kevin Stefanski paying certain players? Last week, Jerry Jeudy. This week, KT Levingston. Last week, Conklin. Last week, Joel Botonio. And I do not mean an NFL self-investigation. When I said Kevin Stefanski should be making license plates and wearing an orange jumpsuit, what you saw today is proof that I was correct. There always comes a time where these hush-hush secrets become exposed. These Wildcats they called tonight did nothing but rob the team. They didn't rob Shedeur per se, because he still got 4 touchdowns and 393 yards. They robbed the fans. That's a Consumer Report violations. The fans could actually sue, but let me tell you what the fans actually need to do. There's a concept of mine that I think is a favorite concept that y'all may know about based on the word reallocate. When you reallocate, you reproportion, you redistribute, you redeploy, you reassign your resources, your time, your energy. Because I know Browns fans are having a fit and don't know what to do. And some of you already bought season tickets. Sell them to the Bears fans next week. If you can cancel it, cancel it. Everybody has a breaking point. You have to know there's a time when you have an aha moment and you realize I'm being scammed. Tonight's game was you being scammed, because immediately after it was over, they announced the Browns were eliminated from playoff contention, but they didn't talk about it all week long. They wanted to talk about Shedeur Sanders fans coming to the game. They wanted to talk about criticizing Shedeur Sanders and people shouldn't protect him and this, that, and the other. Shedeur is the most Googled person in the world, so they can shut the hell up. They don't want this young man to be what he is. the franchise QB, a franchise QB, because how can you justify now in 2026 or 2027's draft getting another franchise QB when you have your franchise QB? You know what people are talking about? If Shedeur had started the season, where would we be? I said you'd be in great position for the playoffs. So the Browns fans have been robbed of the playoffs at least 2 times that we know of. Tonight was one of them. And you know why? Because Shedeur Sanders got you there with the Raiders. Reallocate. It's time to reallocate your time, your resources, your hard-earned money. Go do something else. Learn from the Panthers fan base. Leave it empty. That's what you need to do. Reallocate. You're being played. The Browns have been rebuilding since 2020. That's 5 years. They plan to rebuild for 3 more years instead of build around Shedeur. And they have a good defense. But did y'all notice that Myles Garrett didn't get those opportunities that they talked about all week long? Did y'all notice how they celebrated Shedeur in art and imagery, but sabotaged him? Myles Garrett and Shedeur Sanders were both played today. They kept their names in their mouths all week with the imagery or with Myles Garrett getting his sacks, knowing they were going to rig this game to lose. And Tennessee didn't even need this game because they have the first pick. It was better for them to lose, but it seems more important for the Browns not to go to the playoffs with Shedeur. But it was okay to go to the playoffs with Flacco. What's the difference? What's the difference? It's time to reallocate your resources. And one thing I want you to do, I put a link in the chat. I want you to reallocate your resources. I want you to go to Shedeur's brand new merch store, to Legendary Store, just like it sounds. And I want you to buy something and spend your resources over there. If you sell your tickets, go buy something from Shedeur. Everybody feels like, well, I'm torn. If I don't go to the games, how can I support Shedeur? To legendarystore.com. Go over there and buy something to support Shedeur. Reallocate your resources. Stop enriching people that are scamming you. Support the person they have been abusing and targeting and bullying and discriminating against. Your franchise QB they don't want because his hair is not blonde and his eyes are not blue. It is time to reallocate. If you don't make the sacrifice, you will become the sacrifice. And you probably like, how could that happen? Wait and see. Wait and see. One thing about it, I said before this game, Kevin Stefanski sabotaging Shedeur is futile because we knew at some point he was already QB1. Today, you know he's the franchise QB. But what happened today? The Browns got kicked out the playoffs because Kevin Stefanski manipulated player personnel. And the play calling was to make sure the Browns lost. He could have kicked the field goal. They were right there. Why you didn't kick a field goal? You could have did a lot of things. But to come out for Stefanski to say, it's on me, my bad, it's not good enough. It's not good enough. And we're beyond Stefanski because you have to understand, if you have ever had a job, whether it was at Wendy's or in a C-suite somewhere, you know you have to be responsible to people. And the people that Stefanski are responsible to are the reason the Browns lost today. Does that absolve Stefanski from being the executioner? No. He's an accomplice. I told you crimes were being committed in Berea. And you should see that today. But the fans got cheated out of competitive sports. Something when they bought their ticket, that's what they were buying. They never signed up for the game to be rigged or WWE or to be fake or for Stefanski to manipulate player personnel or possibly bribe or possibly gamble. Vegas had the Browns winning, and now you see why. Vegas had the Browns winning, and the game was rigged for the Browns to lose. And they're not tanking for the first pick in the draft. They didn't want to go to the playoffs with Shedeur. This is why they talked about everything this week, but the what if scenarios for the playoffs, they weren't excited about it. They wanted to say Shedeur needs more time. They never had one conversation. What if the Browns go to the playoffs? Who will we play next? They never had any excitement. They all agreed not to discuss it. But as soon as the game was over, they let you know. Now you know why Kevin Stefanski was relieved last week when they lost to the 49ers and that game was rigged too. So there's 3 games Shedeur could have won. We already know through this game that Shedeur should have been drafted number 2 overall in the first round to somebody. And if Cleveland didn't want to draft Shedeur, they should have traded that pick so another team could. But no, they decided to hurt Shedeur. They decided to rob him of $46 million. And they holding Deshaun hostage. While everybody's fantasizing about Mendoza, how you going to pay Mendoza and $46 million Deshaun? Oh, you going to let the insurance company pick up his salary again next year like you did this year? Because you had him sacked excessively so he could get hurt? Fraud. When I say racketeering, fraud. And if players for the Cleveland Guardians are being indicted for being paid to lose, it's time to investigate the Browns, whether the players or Stefanski is being paid to lose games. Because do not forget, Brian Flores has a lawsuit right now moving through the courts. And guess what one of the allegations is? He was incentivized to lose. And that was with the Miami Dolphins. But former head coach of the Cleveland Browns, Hugh Jackson, reported he was incentivized to lose. Kevin Stefanski is one of the lowest paid coaches at $3.5 million a year. For reference, Mike Tomlin is at $18 million a year. Is he living above his means? Is he gambling? Is he racist? Or both? Is he being told to fix and throw games by the owners of the Browns? Are they gambling? Did they stand to make a big windfall by throwing the game that Vegas said the Browns would win? It's time to look at the nefarious activity of head coach Kevin Stefanski and ask, who told you to do it? Who's protecting Kevin Stefanski? Does that sound familiar? Because I asked it last week. Reallocate everything, time, money. Follow the Panthers fan base. Let it sit empty. That's what you need to do. You want things to be different, then you have to move differently. You have to be different to get different results. So when you look right here, Shedeur's already in good company, but I think this is a definition. Let's see right here. So we have ESPN's total QBR rating. So they'll calculate his QBR rating. That's from 0 to 100. At one point, Shedeur's passer rating, which is explained here, was at 120 something. And it's a scale of 0 to 150 something, right? So when the game ended, he was still a 97. As you could see here, the passer ratings that fall anywhere between 70 to 90 could actually be considered elite. QBRs, high QBRs are considered elite. tonight Shedeur named in the same sentence Joe Burrow, Sam Darnold, people who have been to the Super Bowl, Tom Brady. You're not going to tell me at Shedeur play, you didn't see a player that if he started the season, you wouldn't be in great playoff position. The Browns need to be forced to explain why they rigged tonight's game with personnel and play calling. Why they did everything in their power to lose that game. Are they bribing other players? Are they paying players to take dives? When Jerry Jeudy scored a touchdown, how long before you saw him again in the game? Because he was out. They took him out. I wonder why. Because he celebrated with Shedeur. Everybody that gravitates towards Shedeur gets retaliated against. Everybody. So the word is reallocate. People need to know specifically what the instructions and the directions are. Reallocate before you spend 1 red cent. Reallocate. So I love this picture of Cam and Shedeur, right? Two buddies. Before, when they were in Vegas, Cam was talking that cash money trash. Shedeur is the better quarterback between the two. Shedeur is a damn miracle worker, if you ask me, because they held Shedeur back, I know, through the first 3 drives, maybe somewhere midway through the second quarter, and you could see a switch. And when we were live, I asked the question, I was posting and reposting that people were asking, do y'all not have any other plays other than run, pass? Because it was predictable. And it's like Kevin Stefanski got a call, hey, they on to us. And he stood up and let Shedeur start throwing. And then Shedeur threw 2 touchdowns, and then none of the receivers and people, they couldn't hold on to the ball. And none of the O-linemen could block. So they were basically boxing out Shedeur from being able to do anything. So he had to go run and get it himself. And when that didn't work, we 2 Wildcats in. So you use a Wildcat in 2 opportunities so Shedeur himself cannot get it done. So you're robbing the quarterback of the ability to score intentionally. So, like I said when the game started, Kevin Stefanski is once again sabotaging his own quarterback. It's time for an investigation into gambling and racketeering. Understand that. Corruption. We already know the racism is there. We already went through that in the summer. And as hard as Kevin Stefanski worked to keep Shedeur from getting to QB1, he's working equally as hard to sabotage him once he gets in the game. And I talked about this. I said, I'm taking a wait and see approach after we saw Coach Prime and Berea. We were happy to see him. We saw Stefanski grinning like a Cheshire cat. And I said, pump the brakes on that. I said, because he'll go right out here and stab Shedeur right in his back. And that's what he did. And he already had his lie together. And one reporter put Stefanski on the spot and asked him about the Wildcats, and he didn't want to answer the question. And he couldn't even say Wildcat twice because it's stupid. He's rigging the games. Who's going to hold Kevin Stefanski accountable? That's the question of the hour. Kevin Stefanski should have been fired already. Who's going to hold him accountable? And when I say accountable, I mean who's going to fire Kevin Stefanski? Who's going to be the reason Haslam is forced to fire Kevin Stefanski? Who's going to be the reason that maybe Jasmine Crockett can ask Haslam, why did you allow your head coach to demean, belittle, dehumanize, dismiss, discriminate against such a talented player that was entrusted to him for development and growth? Why didn't you stop it? Because it's been going on since the spring. Why didn't you investigate any nefarious gambling activities or coercion or intimidation What about the people who were fired after as they gravitated towards Shedeur? Why didn't Shedeur, who won the competition, get the reward for being the QB1 or the QB2? Why hasn't Kevin Stefanski been held accountable for excessive injuries, excessive sacks? Why hasn't Kevin Stefanski been held accountable for faulty personnel decisions that render aid to losing a game? Why isn't Kevin Stefanski being held accountable for having a second string $5 million right tackle who is good at pass protection, but Stefanski was allowed to bypass the talent and go to a struggling veteran minimum third string player who is not good at pass protection? So you had the option to win, and you chose the option that put you closer, that could render aid to help you lose. And were they feeling coerced because you're their boss and they want to keep their job because they watched Tony Brown be retaliated against, because they watched Jerry Jeudy score a touchdown and Brotherhood kneel and embrace Shedeur Sanders, and then they took him out the game because this same player who is desperate to want to stay on the team watched as Wyatt Teller was unjustly benched and they lied about him having injuries? Why was Kevin Stefanski allowed to be so egregious in his actions unchecked? There's a host of questions that I would like Jasmine Crockett to ask. And I know some people believe that's never going to happen. Okay. The way things are today, they may not be tomorrow. And I also said before this game, things are going to get worse. And I'm going to say it again. They're going to get worse to the point where they're trying to get Shedeur injured. When I say there's something sinister going on in Cleveland, they know they're getting ready to play the Bears, a tougher team. But if Shedeur begins to excel, watch what happens. They waited to the end of the season to let him play. They didn't want to trade him twice. They don't want him. They don't value him. They keep taking him out of the game when he's a difference maker, which signals that they want to lose and not win with him because we don't want you. We don't value you. This is the same racial discrimination that was used against Marlon Briscoe in 1968. Hello, this is 2025, and social media will hold you accountable. So who's going to force Haslam to fire Kevin Stefanski? And if Haslam does not fire Kevin Stefanski, what are the consequences? What are the consequences? Because this situation gets progressively worse every week that Kevin Stefanski is allowed to sabotage Shedeur Sanders. Next on the bingo card, pain. So let's take a look at some of these things that I have put together today so y'all can kind of see what's happening. Shout out to y'all. There are 500 of us in here. Let me know in the comments if you heard any conversation by any media outlet between the 49ers game and the Titans game before you got to 2 minutes in the fourth quarter or until the game ended, that they were discussing playoff scenarios where the Browns could advance if Shedeur led them to victory. Let me know if you heard it, number one, and where you heard it. Because we live every day. We've been live twice a day. And we talk about what they talking about. And guess what? That was never a conversation. See, people assumed, like they assumed Haslam drafted Shedeur, and I said, that ain't it. People assumed that they're tanking to get more draft picks. That ain't it. They don't want to go to the playoffs with Shedeur because they don't want Shedeur to be their franchise QB and the fans to hold the Browns accountable for trying to trade him or make him QB2 behind Deshaun or anybody else next year. Because if they want to trade him, and they should want to trade him as a QB1, but can they? Remember who took Shedeur off the draft board? The owners. What is Haslam? An owner. So I told y'all the fire was already up to Haslam's ears, and it's going to quickly engulf him. Stay tuned. Racketeering. So the Browns are trying to cheat, or excuse me, the Browns are cheating, sabotaging their own quarterback, using the O-line, using a lot of drop passes to mess up Shedeur's accuracy, but it didn't work because he ended up with 4 touchdowns and 389 or 93 yards. So once again, they couldn't hold him back. Shedeur's unstoppable. And everybody knows after today, the most Googled person, the most Googled athlete or whatever in the world is franchise. So let me see you try to trade him as anything other than QB1. I don't care if the Browns want to trade him. That's between them and their fans. Because if their fans wanted some results, they would leave it empty. They would reallocate. Take that money and go buy something from Shedeur. 2 legendary store. That's what you need to do. That's exactly what you need to do. Hold on 1 second. So I'm getting ready to, I had 2 polls dropped today. Let me check the results of those to see how they're doing. I asked y'all to grade Shedeur's performance. I also asked y'all, I think some other questions. So we just going to see right fast what we come up with. All right, let's see. Okay, so the questions I asked you guys. Oh, I said the Browns played in Myles Garrett and Shedeur Sanders' face with all of this imagery and talk of the sacks and actually had no intentions of letting that happen. Because if Myles Garrett would have sacked and broke the record, Cam more than once, they was going to lose that game. So now you see all of that talk before the game celebrating Myles was playing in Myles' face. They paid him $40 million a year, $160 million in total, and they played in his face. Shedeur Sanders is franchise. Between Myles Garrett and Shedeur Sanders today, the game plan should have been for both of them to lead their respective defense and offense, and they would have won that game. But no, they didn't do that. They wanted to posture with Shedeur with imagery in front of Coach Prime. And they only wanted to make Myles feel good by dangling a carrot in his face. What you think these players experience when they go out here and do all this work to win? And Stefanski, the lead, rigs the game to lose. The motive is irrelevant. It's fraud. That's the whole point of it. Orange jumpsuits and license plate. Rigging games is fraud. They're not tanking. They're rigging games. And they're scamming because they've been rebuilding since 2020. Anybody on the 2020 team will be gone soon. And to say you're going to rebuild for 3 more years ensures that you're going to rebuild for 3 years after that. That's scamming. So they just cheating the fans, cheating the players. What grade would you give Shedeur Sanders today? Most people, let's see, who answered? 190 votes already. 59% said that. I'll let you see it. I think you can see my screen. Let me see. Oh, let me switch. Reallocate. That's action. That's action. It tells you specifically what to do and what not to do. All right. So as you can see right here, the poll, 190 votes. The grades that Shedeur got, 59% said A+, 36% said A. So basically, he got an A and above from the majority of the population. Only 5% left. 4% said a B, right? And then only 1% said a C. So technically, Shedeur got an A today. Shedeur won, and the Browns chose to lose and exit the playoffs. The Browns made a conscious decision to exit the playoffs, rob their fans of postseason activity, decided they didn't even want to make the money in the postseason. Reallocate your resources because they didn't even want to make the money. So why should you spend yours? So if they don't even want the money, you wasting it. Leave it empty. All right, so let's see. I had another one. So let's see what the other one is. Let's see what the other poll is. Okay, let's see. All right, so the second poll, let's see here. Oh, hold on one second. All right, so the second poll I had is, oh, don't forget, I said, please blow up my phone. When they fired Kevin Stefanski, I need y'all to blow me up, DM me, inbox me on every platform. I'm stopping I could be brushing my teeth. I'm going to be on here with toothpaste or scope or something in a bonnet and a robe, if that's what I got to do. The moment they fire this fool, because they're going to be forced into it, because you see they refusing. You see they refuse. If they get forced into firing this fool, when they get forced into firing this fool this season, I want y'all to blow me up. And we going live immediately. So you turn your notifications on. It said, so we gave Shedeur a grade. And I think I asked the question. I only had one poll maybe today. Oh, no, I did have a poll. Is it time to boycott? 71 votes. 65% said yeah. 4% said nah. And 31% said it's long overdue. So again, 91%, 96% said it's time for a boycott. So I don't know what the hell the Browns fans are doing amongst themselves. And people keep asking me, are you a Browns fan? That is the most ignorant question. Because if I allocate my time to support Shedeur, you damn right. And when people allocate their dollars to buy jerseys, regardless of what team they support, you're damn right. So stop trying to separate and divide us because you don't want to be held accountable. You want to fuss and scream and you want results, but you keep doing the same thing. That is the definition of insanity. If you want different results, you have to move differently. You have to do things differently. Reallocate everything. That's what you need to do. Reallocate. That's what exactly needs to happen. There's no if, and buts about it. Because most of y'all didn't even know that they were vying for the playoffs in this game because they ain't talk about it. Just like in the draft, most people didn't know that if Shedeur was drafted in the first round, regardless of to what team, when night one of the draft ended, with Shedeur as the first round draft pick, to even if it was Timbuktu, that for the first time in NFL history over 20 years, Black starting quarterbacks would become the majority. And if you look at the evidence, if you look at what's taking place in Cleveland, they don't want to win the playoffs with him. They don't want to go to the playoffs with him. They didn't want him to be QB1, which he would have been had he was drafted in the first round. We don't want you. We don't value you. That's the message from the draft to Cleveland. So why celebrate him this week? Posturing. Why hasn't ran down there with them kids with the 12 on before Shedeur got robbed? Posturing. Why Kevin Stefanski keep touching on Coach Prime or Shedeur and acting like he liked them? Posturing. So you don't pick up on, I'm getting ready to eat, and stab you in your back again. Posturing. Now that you know Shedeur is the franchise, Somebody should ask the Browns, why y'all don't want Shedeur to be y'all's franchise QB? Because we know he franchised. Why y'all don't want to win with Shedeur? Why y'all didn't want to advance in the playoffs with Shedeur? Those are all valid questions that the media is intentionally not asking because they know the answer. He don't have blonde hair and blue eyes. And the Browns don't want to admit to 42% of Black Cleveland that they racist, but we can see it. Reallocate everything. Leave it empty. So the fans were robbed. Shedeur won. The Browns lost. Myles Garrett was robbed. And I hope Myles Garrett know that they just been playing in your face. Just like they was pretending with Shedeur, but he knew it. You could see the look on Myles Garrett's face today at some point. Cam Ward has been sacked 48 times. That was a slam dunk for Myles. Shedeur Sanders could have had 10 touchdowns and 500 yards. That was a slam dunk for Shedeur. Shedeur leading the offense and Myles leading the defense. They could be in the playoffs. But the Browns they actually preferred to posture and pretend. So you don't pick up on the fact before that game ended that they didn't want to go to the playoffs with Shedeur leading the offense and Myles leading the defense. So they don't give a damn about Myles Garrett either. So he shouldn't give no more damns about them. I hope his contract's guaranteed. All right, so I'm going to some of the things I curated I wanted y'all to look at, and then I'm going to hop over to the comments. Shout out to y'all for 500 people. More than necessary. The word reallocate is the word of the week, and we're going to take it week by week and see if I need to change it. But before you spend a damn dime as it pertains to the Browns, the word reallocate, if I got to say it 20 times a day, is what you need to do. ToLegendaryStore.com. You ain't even got to shop at mine. Reallocate those resources to ToLegendaryStore.com and show your support. All right, so here we go. These are a lot of stats, a lot of things that are being said so y'all can understand the temperature in the room about the Browns for the most part, their QB situation, and they don't have a QB situation. The Browns said in the summer, and I heard it out of Mary Cabot's mouth, the Browns franchise QB is not on the roster. That's a bold-faced lie. The Browns franchise QB is Shedeur Sanders. They just don't want him, and they should be forced to explain why. And then they should be forced to sell the team and get a new owner. Preferably somebody like Magic Johnson, who's not racist, who knows how to run a sports franchise, and winning is the goal. Integrity of the brand is a goal, and not swapping racist for racist and making racist decisions in the draft because you don't think a Black quarterback is worthy of leading the team because you want blonde hair and blue eyes, or black hair and blue eyes, or white skin, or whiteness at the quarterback position is mediocre. Jim Crow. They'd rather lose with white mediocrity than win with Black excellence. Right here, 2025, the Cleveland Browns led by Kevin Stefanski. If you had a headache after that game, that's why. Because what's going on is not normal. It's nefarious. It's sinister. All right, so let me see if y'all can see my screen again. The first post up is from Daniel Oyefuse. It said, from ESPN Research, Shedeur Sanders just recorded his second passing touchdown of 60-plus yards. He's one of only 4 quarterbacks this season, elite company, with multiple passing touchdowns of 60-plus yards, along with Sam Darnold in Minnesota. Seattle. Baker Mayfield. So he's tied with Baker Mayfield with 2. And Aaron Rodgers, 2. Now understand, Shedeur could have been drafted as late as 21 that we knew of that needed a quarterback to Pittsburgh. But they used Aaron Rodgers to block Shedeur. And they struggling and cheating Lamar Jackson so Pittsburgh can get to the top. But they trying to fire Mike Tomlin at the same time. And do you know why that is? Aaron Rodgers. This is why they didn't want to go to the playoffs with Shedeur. Because if he gets a battle against one of these teams that's coming up and he should win, but I'm sure it's going to be heavily rigged, or they're going to find a reason to make him unavailable. He's going to be rigged or he's going to be unavailable mysteriously. How do you say we were justified? When Shedeur was still available, Mike Tomlin said it out loud. There were these phone calls, and we had to listen to these phone calls. And then the other person was still available, and they passed on Shedeur. They could be in prime position in the playoffs if Shedeur had gone to Pittsburgh. They could be in prime position in Cleveland if they decided they wanted to win with a black franchise first round $46 million quarterback long term, but they don't. That's why Deshaun is paid $230 million to play less than 10 games a season because they don't want him to play the majority of the games so he can get that QB1 status. Who pays somebody $230 million to let them sit, or the insurance company pay their salary? Fraud, racketeering, sinister, nefarious, corrupt, racist. So Shedeur's in good company, right? Baker Mayfield 2, Shedeur's 2. If he get out here and play and make another one, that's 3. If he make another one, and he could have had one today. Y'all saw all of the drops after he got 2 touchdowns. Y'all saw the O-line deciding, making decisions, so they didn't want to block for their quarterback. But after the game, Joel Botonio had some things to say about Shedeur. I'm like, y'all so fake, bro. All y'all showing us is really how fake you are. That you will smile in somebody's face, in their daddy's face. Put Shedeur on a billboard. Spend money to do it. And it don't mean a damn thing. Because you'd rather lose than win with him. Posturing. They fake, bro. It said, trade Shedeur. They deserve Mendoza. That team definitely knows what it is doing with its top picks. Right. All they want to do is get in position to get top picks every year, claim some black or possibly brown person off the board, and destroy their career until their white QB savior comes along. That's likely mediocre because they're not choosing him because he's good. Because if you think about all of the white quarterbacks are good, their name is not in any conversation with the Browns. Haslam was at Ohio State in the UT game, not Indiana. It said OC Tommy Reese has been calling plays since week 10, but Kevin Stefanski took accountability for the failed play. Stefanski said he had already planned for the Browns to go to the Wildcat on the 2-point try, even as they were driving downfield. So you had already planned to sabotage the play. Okay, right. Kevin Stefanski's decision to go to the Wildcat was a decisive 2-point try. I'm responsible for all of that. You see how easily he said, because he don't expect anybody above him to hold him accountable. He has people to, I guess you could say, report to. That's Haslam. He fears no type of retribution, consequences, or being fired by Haslam. And they said this was a must-win game for Stefanski. They must not knew what they was talking about. Cleveland Sports Talk said, made that call down to tank this game. They're not tanking. They're rigging games. Tanking is a polite way to say you're rigging games because rigging games is illegal, but it lets you know who the culprit is. And when you look at the corporate hierarchy, thank you, Tina. When you look at the corporate hierarchy, Haslam sits at the top. Andrew Berry and Stefanski are equal. But with Andrew Berry being equal to Stefanski, he don't have no power to make sure Stefanski doesn't devalue Shedeur's trade value, because that was the alternative use for the selection that we got for a deep discount. So Berry don't have no power but to use his melanin to devalue Black players. And somebody gonna go, what about Myles Garrett? And what the hell did they do to Myles Garrett today? Celebrate him all week to make him look like he's not good, because I couldn't even sack somebody who been sacked 48 times that lost to 11 teams. But they let Simmons get his numbers up. And he on a defense that lost to 11 teams. The Browns made themselves look like imbeciles, and they are the number 2 defense in the country. It's more important to lose than go to the playoffs with Shedeur, who's your franchise QB that you don't want, because he don't have blonde hair, blue eyes, a white mama, and white skin. Racist. Says Shedeur Sanders shared his thoughts on not being on the field for the Browns' 2-point attempt. Again, they keep asking him, trying to get him to criticize Stefanski's, but Shedeur's smarter than that. Let's take a listen.
Sometimes you got to run the ball.
And it's funny how they'll try to get Shedeur to say something that could get him in trouble, but they don't even want to ask Stefanski the damn truth. So don't listen to none of them.
Did you wish you had the ball in your hand in that moment to tie the game?
If I'm out there any play, I would wish I would always have the ball in my hand, but that's not what football is. Sometimes you got to run the ball. Sometimes you got to kick a field goal. Everything. That's the game. That's the game. That's the most important thing is the ball. So in any situation, of course you would want to, but I know we practiced something and we execute it in practice. So I would never go against, kind of like what the call was.
Right. They want him to say, yeah, so they could say Shedeur is criticizing Stefanski. That's all they try to do is set him up. This is not a test. This is not a drill. They trying to get this young man put in a bad situation so they can find a reason to cut him like they did Shiloh. That's really just it. Kevin Stefanski, talking about he disappointed, we own it, can't hide from it. He's so happy to take accountability because why? He fears no consequence. Because why? He decided to execute what his boss told him to do.
Disappointed to some of the things that happened that game. We expect more from our run defense. The giveaways there. That's not about.
He expect more from the run defense, but he didn't expect more from the pass defense. Do you see the difference? I expected more from the run, but I didn't expect more from the pass. Why you didn't expect more from the pass? I mean, you saw what the hell was going on. He don't want to even talk about this cat's so fake. He can't even talk about what they could have done better to protect Shedeur. But I heard a clip of his, and I don't know if I saved it because it annoyed the hell out of me, that he said, I knew Shedeur wish he had some plays he could get back. Did he acknowledge that Shedeur set records, broke records, is an elite company already through 3 damn games and could have taken them to the playoffs? Is it did he want to say out loud? Did any reporter say out loud? How do you feel about exiting the playoffs? What could you have done better for the fans? They're not going to ask that. But they're going to ask Shedeur questions to try to trap him. But they won't even ask this clown the truth.
To some of the things that happened that game, we expect more from our run defense. The giveaways there. That's not about who we are. We got to protect the ball. We had a punt blocked, and obviously not getting either of the 2-point plays really off is frustrating. So that's
the 2-point plays. He made them seem like 2 random 2-point conversions when this fool called 2 Wildcats. You see, he won't even be accountable. These are the kind of jokers that fill this organization from top to bottom. They will always have childish scammers. They will always have a team full of childish scammers. That's why people come and go so much. That's why the turnover is so high, because the owner doesn't want to be held accountable. He refuses to hold Stefanski accountable. As long as Stefanski keep that team white like he want and the positions white like he want, it's fine. To hell with the fans. That's the message. Reallocate. And I know you see what's on here. You better reallocate. When you see both of them, reallocate. All three of them. Reallocate. It said, I think Shedeur starts to make the Browns 2026 QB decision a bit more difficult. These players don't care anything about draft position. So basically, they trying to say the Browns can get new. I'm like, all y'all do is just get new players. Y'all not really trying to improve the team. And shout out to NFL on CBS. I told y'all I noticed they were pro Shedeur. Whereas if you listen to Fox, it said rookie QB Shedeur with 350 pass yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown in the Super Bowl era. So this is where they compare Shedeur to Joe Burrow. It said rookie QBs with 350 passing yards, 3 passing touchdowns, and a rushing touchdown in a game in the Super Bowl era. Shedeur and Joe Burrow. When Shedeur was coming up, when he was at Colorado or before he got there, they would ask him, what quarterback is his comp? He said Joe Burrow. Osaka's Ducktail said, but when Shedeur Sanders supporters made Joe Burrow comparisons pre-draft, they were called delusional. They shot down all of the evidence that this kid was Joe Burrow like, and he went out here and proved it. And Stefanski wants to talk about the run pass. He won't say the word wildcat. He wants to accept accountability so he can hurry up and go home. As if he's being responsible, but he's not admitting that he rigged this game so they could lose and exit the playoffs. That's disgusting. That's scamming the fans. That's robbing the fans and the players. And if you're willing to rob your fans, if you're willing to rob your players, what else are you doing? Racketeering. Fraud. So that's that. The rest of it we'll save for tomorrow. I'm getting ready to hop in these comments. 520 of us. Hit the like button. Let me see what y'all are saying. I'm going to try to get through as many as possible. Let's see. I'm still trying to get to the top because y'all got a lot to say. A lot to say. Okay. Jeez. Okay. Man, getting to the top. I appreciate the engagement, guys. I'm almost to the top. Let's see. How many comments is it? It's a lot of comments. All right. I think I made it to the top. All right. Let me put some music on so we get the vibe going. Let's see here. All right, here we go. That's not what I want to do. Okay. All right. All right, here we go. All right, it says, I put the link to Shop Shedeur's new store on there, tolegendarystore.com. The link is in the chat. Check it out. It said, is this a possible gambling issue? People are asking a question tonight. Are the Browns rigging games because they're gambling? Is Kevin Stefanski gambling? Is the owner gambling? Is somebody gambling that has the ability to decide when Myles Garrett gets his record-breaking sacks? Same thing with the 49ers. Same thing with the Titans, right? Like Myles Garrett doesn't freely get to play. Same thing with Shedeur. It says, so people are asking the question, right? Then it says, who is this? Oh, Faith said, hey, Nola girl, and chat members. It said, Shedeur played exceptionally well today. He put the team in the best position to win the game. Go in overtime. However, the idiotic Wildcat play was sick, right? Sick and intentional. Sick and intentional, right? And then we have, hey, Tina, how you doing? It said, definitely gambling if Stefan isn't fired in the morning. then Haslam is gambling too. And very well could be, right? You can't assume because people got money that they ain't gambling. Hell, whoever has enough money, right? And if not him, somebody in his family or something like that, right? So you have to actually investigate. In the absence of an investigation, knowing that the Cleveland Guardians already is being investigated, knowing that the gambling scandal was uncovered in the NBA, you can't say there's not gambling in the NFL with the Cleveland Browns because you refuse to look into it. The fact that you refuse to look into it when it's becoming prevalent tells you that you likely know that gambling or something else nefarious or sinister involving racketeering and fraud is taking place. Understand that. Understand that. So, that's just what it is. You have to be honest and say that, why wouldn't you look? You have to have the conversation. It's that they should put handcuffs on Stefanski and this crime spree immediately. Yup, orange jumpsuits and license plates. It's that, hey there, everybody, how you doing? It's that Kevin Stefanski got the internet on fire. People are fed up with his non-coaching behind. Yup, and guess what? You need to start using the word reallocate. Reallocate your damn resources. That's what you need to do, right? That's what needs to happen. And again, I shared the information about twolegendarystore.com because I know people want to support Shedeur. I'm fully aware of that. And that's your answer. That's your answer. You should gladly go to twolegendary.com and support. Reallocate. Support Shedeur directly because his team obviously isn't. This young man is out here doing everything. Harold Fannin Jr., he wasn't going to let nobody get that ball. You see that? Imagine if the whole team's intensity was like that. They would already be in pole position for the playoffs. And then they be out there stepping on his ankle like they do in Lamar Jackson. It still could happen. So he always got to look for the play. Shout out to Shedeur, though. He did really well. Hey, how you doing? How you doing? Hey, Nola, I enjoyed your party today. Thank you. I'm glad y'all enjoyed the live stream. I went back and was looking at it, and I was just dying laughing at certain points because it's comical at some points, the reaction. But I'm telling y'all, right? I went to get something to eat and ran into some people because I was wearing my Shedeurian shirt. I posted it already. And we had like the whole conversation was about what's going on in Cleveland. So you're talking about the most Googled person in the world, Shedeur Sanders, and you think you're going to get away with what you did. You might not get caught today. And that's exactly why I said, who is going to force Haslam to fire Stefanski? That's why I said it that way. You don't have the most Googled person in the world cheated before millions globally. I had people in the comments I'm watching from the Bahamas. Facts. It said they thought they were slick. Yep, that's what they thought. It said Shedeur broke records again today. Yes. And you think they would be happy, but they upset, trying to figure out how to cheat him against the Bears. It said Shedeur Sanders, the superstar, is making a future face of a league, a franchise player, legendary. He is. That's facts. That is definitely facts. Hey, Jarrell, how you doing? Thanks for hanging out with us. Hey, RD, how you doing? Deja, how you doing? It said Shedeurian in the house. St. Louis Shedeurian in the house. All right, we glad to have you. All right, so y'all got to start wearing y'all Shedeurian merch. It gets conversation going. I wasn't expecting it. I don't know if they started to look on my face or how the conversation got going, but it lasted all throughout dinner before it was time for me to come back. I don't know what time I got over there, but I know I was over there for at least an hour and a half to 2 talking about this situation because people are talking about how gambling, a lot of people believe that this is gambling. And I'm going to tell you what I said to them. It's more sinister than that because of what happened in the draft. Had the draft not happened like this, I would think it's gambling. But because I know they didn't want Shedeur to go in the first round, they wanted him to go undrafted. They humiliated him. They lied about who did it when it was the NFL itself, right? I understand. That's the reason why they didn't want him in the first round was because he would be QB1 just like Cam. And there's nothing they could do anything about it. There would be nothing they could do anything about it. Same thing happened with Lamar. Ozzie Newsome traded up to get Lamar 32. He was still QB1. You couldn't force him to go down. But if he would have went undrafted, then yeah, they could justify cutting him. But he won the competition as 144, something he should have never been involved in, because according to them, he could even pick his jersey number. But you see how they tried to say he was a 5th round talent? They weaponized the rounds in the draft against Shedeur, so he wouldn't be QB1, and he still made it. So now they over there plotting what they gonna do next week. Stay tuned. Listen for the talking points from these major stations, what they really saying and what they not saying. It's that I must be signed in under a different browser. It said because my name isn't appearing as usual. Oh, okay, this is Elaine. I will figure it out later. Okay, thank you, Elaine. It says shooting themselves in the foot as Shedeur continues to break records as a 5th round. Right. And it only proves what? That he should have never been a 5th round talent. And understand this. If the man is already being compared to Brady and they can't stand that, he's already in the same conversation and stat category with Joe Burrow. And it's just he and Joe Burrow. And then in another category, he up there with Aaron Rodgers and Sam Darnold. And Baker Mayfield, who escaped Cleveland, escaped. They didn't abuse Baker Mayfield. That's the difference. They abused Shedeur intentionally because he's black. So Haslam gonna have a lot of explaining to do. It said if Daniel Jones got injured, I guess Richardson could get his job back. Oh, wow. Oh, let's see if they give it back to him. Let's see what happens. It said let them dig out their own grave. I totally agree, but you need to reallocate your sources. It says Shedeur showed up and showed out. That he did. Greetings. How you doing, Pat? How you doing? Freeman, welcome back. Thank you, Freeman. It said they're exposing themselves as Shedeur thrives. That's facts. But you still need to reallocate. Shedeur climbing is cool. That's what we want. We want him to fly high above the toxicity and racism and racketeering. We do. We want him to go unscathed. But you want to deliver a message. Reallocate. It said, yeah, he needs to be fired immediately. It said that was Stefanski all the way. Facts. I totally agree. Blame him and fire him. Yep. It says, Shedeur Sanders showed out even with a loss. Legendary. Right. And it don't even feel like he lost. That's the crazy part. It don't even feel like the Titans won. I'm like, to the Titans fans, the Titans players who was doing all this, I'm like, y'all didn't win nothing. They gave that to you. And to be honest with you, if somebody got to give you a win after 11 losses, how you holding up your arm against Shedeur? He got 4 touchdowns on y'all defense. And you doing like this. That just shows why you have lost 11 games. Y'all ignorant. Y'all don't even know what the priority is. You think the priority is to try to insult Shedeur, or do you just want to be seen? Maybe that's what it is. Because he got 4 touchdowns on y'all. Busters. Shedeur won. I'm telling you, it feels like Shedeur won. That's why I say the Browns lost. All they did was expose themselves again. It said they put Shedeur in harm's way, and he got the hell out of it too. It said Wildcat. It said Old Cat. All of it fishy, and it needs to stop. It said, of course. It said Kevin Stefanski is definitely gambling. For sure, Nola girl, you're right. People are asking. People are saying they think that's what it is. That's what it is. I didn't say that's what it is. I'm saying it's time to investigate. I personally think it's more nefarious than gambling because of what happened in the draft. What's happening in Cleveland is an extension of what happened in the draft. We don't want you. We don't value you. And we going to harm you if that's what we got to do. I personally think he got robbed at his house while he was playing in a game they knew he was going to play in, and potentially lied about a concussion for Dylan because they wanted to get something on him, because it is highly likely their plan is to keep him next year behind Deshaun, who they say they can't move, and make him Shedeur QB2 behind Deshaun, but that shit ain't gonna fly. So they better go back to the drawing board. It said, was the defense in on the sabotaging? The defense was trying to hurt Shedeur, Simmons in particular, absolutely. And they didn't call roughing the passer multiple times. They were hitting Shedeur in the head and everything. So the defense was playing terrible ball with the face mask penalties, but they were trying to physically hurt Shedeur. Hell, at some point, I think his own offense O-line was trying to get him hurt. So understand that. It said check Kevin Apps. They better check something. It said the fix was in for this game. No sense with the play after the touchdown. It said point spread, over under total score. And Vegas had the Browns winning the game. I don't know what the spread was. I think it was 3.5. What was the final score? So does the spread matter? Does the spread depend? I don't know how to bet. Does the spread depend on who the winner is or no? They said 3.5. It was a 2-point game. So the spread was covered. So that's how that works. It says Stefanski did what he could to keep Shedeur out of rhythm, the Wildcat, right? And notice when Cam started, his coach threw short passes, slants to the left and right across the middle to get him warmed up, to get the receivers, everybody in rhythm. Stefanski didn't do none of that. You know what happened when the game started? Shedeur's O-line was just setting him up left and right. That was it. That was it. Stefanski makes sure he can set up Shedeur in front of his father. It said, well, if you're a bookie and got paid, I guess he doesn't care, suspiciously. Oh, okay. All right. It said the game was obviously rigged, but at least Shedeur proved he's better than Cam Ward and the rest of his rookie class. That's facts. Shedeur proved what? He should have been number 1 overall. That he should have never been anything other than a top 3 quarterback. And another thing, Haslam needs to be forced to answer, and Jasmine Crockett could ask the questions. If you pre-draft with Shedeur to 2 weeks before the draft when everybody else had already picked their quarterback, and then you cut bait, why, when he landed in Cleveland at 144, did you deny him franchise or QB1 skill set because you were going to pay him $46 million? His skill set doesn't change because you pay him $975,000. Bait and switch. Racketeering. And you know that's what it is because they fear no consequences. They don't even care. And when people don't care what they do, they have done worse than racketeering. Don't be surprised if it was an inside job that he got robbed so they could clear out his nightstand. So if he decided to ask for a trade next year, they could do him like they did Deshaun Watson. Y'all saw Coach Prime walk in that building look like $1 million. That could be foreshadowing. I said, they keep playing. He gonna own the joint. That could be foreshadowing. It says Shedeur balled out despite the crappy O-line and head coach. Totally agree. Shedeur balled out 4 touchdowns, 393 yards with no O-line. None. It said as a professional head coach, it was very obvious he was trying to tank. Rig. Tank and rig are 2 different things. Tanking is not necessarily illegal, but rigging the game to lose and fixing games is very much illegal. If you don't believe me, I want you to look up the Cleveland Guardians and look at why their pitcher or somebody got indicted for fixing games. Tanking makes it seem harmless. They weren't tanking. They're rigging multiple games. They already have 2 first-round picks. They didn't want to go to the playoffs with Shedeur at the helm. It said Titans knew the Wildcat was coming. Of course, because you kept using the same plays over and over and over. Everybody knew it. And they wanted the plays to be predictable until they started calling it out on the internet. Then they started throwing it. So they knew the Browns would be behind because for 3 drives, they did the same thing and restricted Shedeur from passing the ball. It said gambling is a part of all professional sports. Understand this. Illegal gambling is not a part of professional sports. If you want to gamble and there are rules, players can't gamble on their own games and neither can coaches. So no, absolutely not. It said it's not a trick play no more. Right. You can't overuse it, but that was the intent. Understand this. Predictability is a strategy. Predictability is a strategy. If I do the same thing all the time, I'm telling you what I'm going to do. I'm sending you a message without telling you directly. So I'm indirectly telling the other team what to do. Understand this. They know who to target in the next game. We all do. Who is it? Number 44, Harold Fanning Jr. I know what Gage can do and can't do. I know they're just going to leave him out there. I know to target him. I know Tillman, maybe not. I know Njoku got a bad knee. Understand this. These players look at these things, right? So they're going to make the degree of difficulty for Shedeur to succeed. His own team will make it difficult for Shedeur to succeed. I said it when we were live. Shedeur has 3 seconds to figure out which O-lineman to trust to know where to be, so he can then scan to see who get into their spot and who can I trust that got to their spot. And sometimes they don't get to their spots. That's why he be doing all of this. And still got it done. You think at this point they would quit. Nope. They just over there trying to figure out what to do next. And pain just might be involved. The Vegas prediction was almost accurate, except the Browns lost by a field goal. Right. Jackson Dart did not do this. It's taking Shedeur off the 2-minute drill just to disrespect him. It's to lose the game. Taking Shedeur out the 2-minute drill is to intentionally lose the game, because Shedeur is so accurate, he can make it. If not, he can run it in. So it's to lose the game. It's to increase the difficulty by your own head coach for his own team to win. When I say fixing games, when I say rigging games, this is what I am talking about. To put the team in position to lose. Who does that? That's illegal. When you sell tickets, you don't tell your fans, we might put ourselves in position to lose. They're not tanking. They're fixing games. And best believe, the people that know they're fixing games are making money. You just didn't know about it. Gambling, racketeering. It said, I've been saying this since OTA. It said Shedeur should have been a #1 pick in the draft. It said that he is way better than Cam Ward. He is a top 5 NFL QB. Everyone here can see it. The only reason Cam was #1 is because they knew. I want you to look at the players that gets the black quarterbacks that get steered to the Browns. They want to end their careers. Deshaun, RG3, Tyrod Taylor, Shedeur Sanders. These are all good quarterbacks. But I want to, for whatever reason, some kind of scandal happened. I need to ship you over to Cleveland. And then they gonna handle you. And Stefanski is the handler. And Haslam says nothing. Because he in on it. He's the owner. The owners are incestuously close. They do everything together, including collusion. Good job. All right, it said, those were some really beautiful throws. Yep, Shedeur, watching him play is half the thrill, which is probably why people still want to go regardless, right? Watching him play, because he's good. Yep, it's rigged. It's definitely rigged. They're fixing games. They're fixing games, and people are making money because there are people who know they're fixing games. So it's like insider trading. You work for a corporation and y'all have clients. You know exactly what the clients have going on, whether or not they're putting themselves in a position to expand and make more money, to sell off things, and maybe make money by selling things. And when you know this, if you go to the stock market and when you go to the stock market and you invest in that company because you know they getting ready stock to go up. It's called insider trading. So why would anybody think it's okay for the Browns to be fixing games and for the people that personally know them to run out here and bet and make that cash? Orange jumpsuits and license plates. They're fixing games and people are making probably windfalls of cash. Because this is happening over and over. When Dylan was the quarterback, what did the bettors say online? Oh, we love when Dylan play because we know exactly what to do with that money line. And that's how they would win. And when Stefanski was acting stubborn and no, we got to keep Dylan in, that was telling people the predictability of what's going to happen because Dylan ain't him. It said, you see the whole defense holding the wrist of all the crowd. It said that was so low-key respect to Shedeur. Shedeur ain't worried about that. They just wanted to be seen. They have lost 11 games and Shedeur got 4 touchdowns on them, so they need to shut up. Shedeur is heads and tails better than Cam. Yep. Cam was only #1 because if they didn't take Cam #1 and they already ignored Milroe coming out of Alabama and y'all don't even know he over there 3rd on the depth chart, behind who? Sam Darnold, who they just put in the same company with Shedeur. 3 black quarterbacks should have been between the first and number 40. Milroe got pushed down. Shedeur got pushed all the way down. They had to let one through. If I would have took all 3 black quarterbacks and pushed them outside the first round, people would have said we were racist. They do not want to be called exactly what they are. Racist. So here come 10 million, probably 12 by now, million fans looking and watching and hearing and talking about in public places what's going on with the most Googled player out here. And it was quietly kept that most Googled player led his team into a playoff hunt, and that this game was a deciding factor, and the media never discussed it. That's how you know they talked about it, because nobody just randomly brought it up. Well, whatever happened to the Browns being in the playoff hunt after that came out? That conversation got shut down. Tell me where you heard it. You didn't hear it. They intentionally didn't talk about it. And they did the same thing in the draft with Shedeur being number 17 and it being a historic year for black quarterbacks. They intentionally didn't mention it. They didn't want to talk about the historic because they didn't want it to happen. A collusion case with the NFL is coming because everything Shedeur fans have been saying since rookie minicamp, when Shedeur was better, has been seen by everyone today in real time. Yep, nowhere to hide. And you know why there's nowhere to hide? Everything is documented. And so many different people have it, you can't erase it. What happened tonight is a game changer. It's obvious. You know why it's obvious? You kept taking him out in the red zone, and this young man scored 4 touchdowns and 393 yards. What did Myles Garrett say about Shedeur? He makes plays that nobody else is making. What did I read to you? Who companies he's in? Joe Burrow. Just Shedeur and Joe Burrow. And then in another category, Aaron Rodgers, Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold. Myles Garrett was right about Shedeur, and they tried to silence him too. So much so that they wanted to pay him all of this attention, and today they straight up played in his face. He could have had 4 sacks like that. Myles Garrett wasn't even on the opening drive of the damn game. And then he was only allowed to get 1. Why? Because if he would have sacked Cam 4 times, the Browns would have won. Fixing games. Not tanking. What they're doing is illegal. I said it 2 weeks ago. What's happening to hold Shedeur Sanders back so he doesn't appear to be successful in a QB1 is illegal. I said it's criminal. Orange jumpsuits and license plates. And that's just facts, and people don't want to believe that. It said the fix is on. Yep, the fix is on. Who's the Amber talking about lock him up? I totally agree. I mean, that's really what it is, right? That's really what it is. But they can't see it coming. And most people never do. Most people never do. It says, clearly cheated, the Ravens. It said he had that touchdown, right? People ask, was this a touchdown or a touchback or whatever? Now, mind you, Shedeur is smart, right? Who did he go to that time? Somebody different. And what did I say when he threw the interception? Shedeur gonna have to understand, Gage is not Travis Hunter or Jimmy or LeJontay or Will Shepherd. Shedeur had more elite talent. And understand this, the receivers can't get mad. You know why? You chose to sell out. You chose to drop the ball. So you can't get mad if people say his college wide receivers are better. We not gonna say that about Harold Fanning Jr. Hell, he was out there looking like Travis, if you ask me. When he got to that corner, I know he studied film from that Ravens game. He refused to be bullied. That's the dog. Now watch they target him. The Browns gonna target him, and the other team gonna target him. Watch what happened. When Shedeur said the hungry dogs, you even saw the Browns try to capitalize off of that, right? By doing what? Putting up a banner and a poster. You see how they play in your face? Shedeur can't trust nothing them people say. Hold on, y'all. I got to plug in my laptop. Let's see. I had to move it. So yeah, every game, Shedeur got to figure out who to trust. And then he got to defeat the other team. And he got 3 seconds to do all of it. 484 people hit the like button, please. He got to figure out who to trust and on his team and on the other team in 3 seconds. Miles was soft today, right? Because Miles' face looked like somebody said something to him and he didn't like it. And he was like, I mean, he didn't look disgusted. He looked disappointed, dejected. And I know why. Because they used all of this week to talk about Miles this, Miles that, Miles gonna get the record. He only got so many left to get. And they denied him. Because if he would have got them all, broke that record today, and he could have. Now they getting ready to play a tougher team. He could have got all of that today. Right? They didn't put him in a position to do it. And they probably told him not to do it. See, this is why you don't never go along with what they do. Because if they use you once, they got leverage. You can't never get them no leverage. I believe they robbed Shedeur to try to get leverage. Because they want to make him QB2. And if he asks for a trade, notice in the media, who is saying Shedeur should ask for a trade? Understand, they know exactly what happened to Deshaun when he asked for a trade. People who tell Shedeur to ask for a trade in the industry know they are setting him up for career suicide. They know what happens to black quarterbacks who ask for a trade. They know it. Why they don't ever have the conversation to fire Stefanski? Why is that coming primarily from the fans and podcasters? Why? They know Stefanski should be fired, but they want to still have access to the players and be in good graces with the Browns. That's why. And that's why they didn't talk about the what if scenario for the playoffs. That's not cool. Stopping a young man to achieve his goals from your own personal agenda is not cool at all. No, it's a crime. It's a crime. Racketeering is a very fair word to use. Collusion and conspiracy, civil rights violations as well. Oh, absolutely civil rights violation. That was first. That was definitely first. And somebody said buy Stefanski. Absolutely buy Stefanski. Absolutely. That's why I said I want y'all to hit me up on every platform that got an inbox or DM or some kind of chat message, all at the same time, till my phone just start jumping to let me know when they fire him. And it should have been tonight. But see, I think they want to keep that fool till next year. Racketeering involves engaging in a pattern of illegal activities, often under the guise if they have leverage on you. One could say they had leverage on Deshaun and he was extorted. All of this is linked to the federal Rico Act, Racketeer, Influence, and Corrupt Organizations Act. It's not a single crime, but a framework to prosecute leaders of criminal enterprises. And the Browns are run like a criminal enterprise. You have intimidation, retaliation, extortion, all of it. Anything to put people in line so you can exact your will on them. By linking multiple offenses such as bribery, paying players to take dives, fraud, fixing games, sabotaging your own quarterback so you can lose and exit the playoffs is fraud. You already have 2 first-round picks. This is not tanking. You don't even have to tank. You're not tanking. You're committing fraud. Illegal gambling. Illegal gambling. We're going to lose this game so we can get out the playoffs. Okay. How much you want to bet? Let me bet about 10K. You bet against your own team, because you know your team gonna lose. Illegal gambling. Now, mind you, when the NBA people, when they started going in on them, they ain't say nothing. about bribery and fraud, did they? There's already room to investigate bribery. These people are not taking dives and dropping passes, both integral to the quarterback's success, especially if he can't run it in himself. They're not doing it through telepathy. There's some type of conversation happening, whether it's in the parking lot, whether it's at the Kellogg's factory, or whether it's I tell one person at the Kellogg's factory and they tell another person, or they tell their fiance and their fiance tell another wag and the wag tells her man. Understand, there is some form of communication for the team to flip a switch, to know when to flip a switch and when not. Bribery, fraud, illegal gambling. That's 3. Somebody is making money off the Browns knowing they were going to fix this game to lose, to exit the playoffs. People know that. So understand that. Racketeering is the perfect, because it's the framework. It's not one crime, it's multiple. Orange jumpsuits and license plates. Haslam should be forced to sell this team immediately. We are beyond Stefanski. They beyond Stefanski. So understand that. It said, I pray Prime picked up on this. I'm pretty sure they already know. One thing about the Sanders is they be miles ahead. You know why? Because they got people everywhere. And they do. They have people everywhere. They have people everywhere. So they have people that can be on other people's pages, listening to stuff. Have y'all heard about this? Absolutely. They got people everywhere. When those brown bags come out, then justice will get served. Oh, you talking about the brown? Yeah, the ain'ts like, absolutely, absolutely. That's facts. That's facts right there. If Shedeur had started the season, the Browns would be in the playoff position. Here's the thing. They wouldn't just be in playoff position. Shedeur could have won the 49ers, the Ravens. He could have tied it up. So if you think he could have tied up the Ravens game, and then he would have won, he already won the, so he got better with each game. Look at his progress through each game. It's off the charts now. He's proven he's franchised. So they got to figure out, we're going to trade him because we don't want him. Now they got to consider their fans. Now they got to get their fans excited about somebody else. But you know what their fans saying on X? We don't want nobody else. We got Shedeur. That's what they don't want to hear. That's what they don't want to hear. So I don't know how you go try to make him look bad. All you can do is make him unavailable. Pain. If Lamar Jackson's O-line stepped on his ankle, if Anthony Richardson O-line fell on him to hurt his pinky, his finger, dislocated, Shedeur better be careful. I already saw Joel Bitonio fall backwards today. Understand, Shedeur know he can't go to the right. He figured that out real fast. So if I'm going to the left and Joel fall backwards, he gonna fall on me. And you see Stefanski didn't take him out the game for dirt diving. Solid defense, but bad coaching and management. Yeah, it rigged. The defense really wasn't even solid today. They did okay. Copycat. It says Shedeur is the only Simba. That's facts. That's facts. Yeah, it's unbelievable. It is. I was telling somebody when I was at dinner, I said, they were asking me, did I think that what's happening to Shedeur in Cleveland is about Coach Prime? I said no. I said if Shedeur was drafted number 2 to Cleveland as projected, as planned, he would have been number 17 of 32 by night 1 of the draft, making it not just historic, but 17 of the 32 black quarterbacks, which means when you watch the games, you'll mostly see 2 black quarterbacks playing each other for the most part. Or they'll be playing a white quarterback, but you're going to see a lot of black quarterbacks. That would be historic considering they just settled a $1 billion lawsuit alleging race norming that black people are dumber than white people. So how does that happen? How are black NFL players dumber than white NFL players? Are black people dumber than white people? And then the smallest group of people in a sea of people emerge as the leaders of the team, the most important position on the team. Because you full of shit. You just don't want there to be black quarterbacks playing each other, and probably a lot in these prime time slots. Do y'all know Jalen Hurts won the Super Bowl? Pat Mahomes lost it, and Kansas City still had more prime time slots than Philly? Philly is the new America's team. Dallas fans, get in your feelings if you want to or not. Philly is the new America's team, and they being sabotaged as well. So Jalen Hurts don't go back for the third time. That's it. So Jalen Hurts don't go back for the third time. And they definitely don't want two black quarterbacks going. So they trying everything. They trying everything. So Shedeur got to be careful out here. It said, I've said Shedeur is way better than Cam Ward many times since last February. Yep, he is. He's definitely better. And you can see that today, right? All of those drops, right? I don't even know. I didn't even have a chance to count all of the drop passes. But understand this. Shedeur could have easily had 6 touchdowns. They held them back for if you go back and look to see when he threw his first long pass. Before that, the O-line was falling on the ground, doing all of this buffoonery. I would say at least the first 3 drives or somewhere between the mid of the second quarter, possibly, before he scored, right? Before he scored. Because when he started passing, he let one rip and he scored. Then he scored again, and then they shut down the offense. That's when all of the drops start happening. When they shut down the offense, that's when all of the drops happen. Kevin Stefanski did exactly what I predicted. If you look at my video that we talked about this game before, several days before the game, I said, let me tell you what Stefanski gonna do. Stefanski has noticed that as soon as Shedeur gets the opportunity to pass, he's likely going to score. So he's making a rogue personnel change to bench Wyatt Teller to go to the lesser talented Tevin Jenkins, who's never been a starter, who was a 5th round pick in the first place. And he came from Chicago because they felt like his career was over. So they decided to get him and make him the second string. Then next to Tevin Jenkins, they could have put Cornelius Lucas, but you heard me say Cornelius Lucas is healthy. They went with the 3rd string, lesser talented, more thirsty player to make the team, whereas Cornelius Lucas already got $2 million guaranteed, with about $7 million more coming. So you can't, he don't need you. So they're targeting vulnerable people whose careers are near death. And just like the Goon Squad, targeting people who tried to make the team and they discarded them. Don't be surprised if Tevin Jenkins and KT Levingston get the shaft for letting Kevin Stefanski use them. I said that's what he was gonna do. I said I did a whole video and showed the depth chart, showed you why it should be Cornelius Lucas, not only because of position, but because he was the better pass rusher. Not one media person asked Stefanski about that because they didn't want to. They let it happen. You can't trust their media. Nobody. Not even the people that just report what's happening, because they could have asked the question too. It said Cam finally got his jersey from Shedeur. They swapped. Oh, that's cute. It said Shedeur Sanders have to beat his team. Yeah, Shedeur Sanders has to defeat his team, and he has to defeat the opponent. That is correct. That is correct. Hit the like button. Yes, hit the like button for me, please. How long we been on here? Oh, okay, we got time. 454 people. Hit the like button, please. We hit the like button. It says, Anonymous says they had to take him out of the game because he was going to win. Had he not done that, because Shedeur had already made up his mind. If I have to do it alone, it's going to get done for the win. Understand this. They can't hold him back. So what else can you do to hold back a player that you can't hold back? What else can you do? You got to make him unavailable. And how you going to do that? Like you did Wyatt Teller, you going to lie about an injury? We going to know you lying. Wyatt Teller told, I ain't injured. So they had to force and say it was Stefanski's idea. Then they said it was his performance. You surely can't say Shedeur underperformed. So what you gonna do? You're gonna go out there and you gonna pray he gets slaughtered, and you probably gonna help by the Bears. That's what you're gonna do. You're gonna rig the game again. Let's see what happens. Did y'all see Shedeur when he was running? They was trying to rip off his jersey and he got the hell on. That kid is tough, bro. He is fun to watch. It said, and the related players, Horn Jr., Weaver, Wester, Hunter, Seaton. Yeah, they all got devalued. Except for Seaton coming out. We're going to see what happened there. But I think is he supposed to be jumping ship? What's up, Roger? Is he supposed to be jumping ship? Wildcat him out the building. I know that's right. I am praying for Shedeur's safety. God expose the corruption of the Browns. Right. And what's my motto? When God show you who people are, I suggest you take heed. I ain't talking about Shedeur. I'm talking about anybody who want to keep their job around there. See, the cat is out the bag now. The cat is out the bag. These games are fixed. Nobody's thinking they just lost. They could try to sell that in the media, but they don't have no credibility no more. Because they didn't even talk about the Browns being in the playoff. As a neutral journalist, you should have been celebrating a struggling franchise getting back to the playoffs with a quarterback drafted in the 5th round. But that's why you ain't talk about it. That's why you ain't talk about it. Well, we're going to talk about it now. So, regardless of fixing the game or not, Shedeur still got them to the playoff hunt. It was up to Stefanski to make sure it didn't happen, that they got kicked out. Okay? It said Cam. Yes, them also, but Shedeur's main guy. Yeah, Shedeur is the main guy. I totally agree. It said, what about potential insurance fraud? Faulty injuries to avoid paying full contract amounts. I agree with that. I asked the question, is Travis Hunter's injury covered? Because if they paying Travis Hunter's salary, I mean, they paid him $31 million up front. Then they start talking about if he got fleeced or not. Then they say, he gets this weird injury. So it's possible. But we talked about Deshaun. They let him get sacked excessively, and the insurance company picked up his salary. That's fraud. Did I not say fraud? Insurance fraud goes into fraud. So yeah. Yeah. It said, I've been pointing out the fact that Haslam purchased the Browns for $1 billion and it's worth $6.2 billion. And Jimmy seems not to be concerned about his horrible handling of players and coaches. Right. He's not. He's just not. He's just not. Somebody said it's hurting my spirit. Nah, don't let it hurt your spirit. Don't do that, because here's the thing, right? One thing about it, and I know Shedeur finds peace in this. Shedeur knows, right, that God is like shining a light on him to dispel the lies, basically, right? The Browns are being exposed, and now, how long before the NFL is exposed? Between what's going on with the Browns and what happened in the draft. You can stay quiet all day, but the Browns are actually exposing everybody. Fake injuries, illegal gambling, not tanking, but fixing games so you can sabotage your own quarterback. Baltimore Ravens. When you look at black quarterbacks, yep. I told you there's a pattern. Black quarterbacks have several people behind them, like they want them to be scared or something like that, the pressure. But not white quarterbacks, unless the white quarterback is injured. So a healthy Shedeur could be QB1 next year with Deshaun behind him, Dylan behind him, and you don't need all that. It should just be 2. But a white quarterback could have 3 or 4 people behind him, but he has to be injured. Like JJ McCarthy, they had a full 4 because JJ McCarthy was injured. That's supposed to be pressure. Shedeur don't feel that kind of pressure. How can the NFL lose all of these lawsuits and the commissioner and owner's still there? They didn't lose all of these lawsuits. Oh, you meant the first one? That's a good question. They settled the first one. The other 2 still in court. See, that's the thing, right? That's why I said you got to reallocate. That's the fastest way to send a message, because lawsuits take years, and there's already 2 in courts, and that's one started in 2022 when Shedeur was at Jackson State, right? And Brian Flores should really be the next head coach of the Cleveland Browns if they wanted to make it right, but they don't. They'll just take their chances in court, and they've lost 2. They've lost an appeal and something else, to the point where Brian Flores' case, which touches on black quarterbacks being discriminated against, which is what Shedeur is. Everything they do to Shedeur proves the validity of Brian Flores' lawsuit, and they still keep going. Julian Johnson Law. Black people underestimate Jim Crow and how willing to go. Facts. Facts. It said, I never heard it. And I never heard on the news about Shedeur's place getting broken. Oh, okay. Yeah, that was out there. That was out there for sure. It said, always discussing his fragility, options for his replacement, but he shines right. And what did somebody say? It's going to be hard for them to go pick a quarterback in 2026. I'm like, I don't think they want to, unless the Manning kid going to pop out. It says Shedeur has found his niche. TMZ is now on it. They're talking, y'all. Okay. I mean, he the most Google person in the world, so a lot of people going to talk about it. So yeah, there you go. It said, that's just crazy, right? Miles definitely took it easy on Cam, right? And what did we say? Miles took it easy on Brock Purdy. That's why I said the Titans out here acting like they didn't get that game handed to them. Shedeur scored 4 touchdowns on the defense, and they got the nerve to do this. They should feel dumb. Cleveland's offense put up what? 425 yards? 415, 425 yards? Total offense on the defense, and you want to do like this, and he's supposed to be offended. You the joke. Hell, it really feel like he won. It really did. It really feels like Shedeur won. It's like there's joy because of what took place with Shedeur. The Browns chose to lose. Shedeur didn't lose. The Shedeur actually won. Great communication and commentary, Miss Nola. Thank y'all so much. Thank you. Hit the like button for me, please, everybody. I think we're just trying to get, y'all got me to my goal for Christmas. It came early. So I think we're at 6,300. So let's see if we can get some more subs while we're in here. Because the goal is 10,000. But I figured if we get to 6 before Christmas and we made it, maybe we can make it to 7,000. And then when we get to the backside of the front side of January, we'll be closer to our goal of getting 3,000. If Stefanski get fired, I'm gonna get there. If Stefanski get fired, I'm gonna get there. I will get there. Believe me, I'm gonna go get there. Y'all gonna get me there. So it's people in the background waiting. 6,300. So yeah. So see if y'all can get me 50 more subs. That would be good because there are over 400 of us in here. 442. We made it to over 500. So yeah. All right, let's see who else is in here. They're definitely scammers. Yeah, they scamming their fans. Who rebuilds since 2020? You could build a house or 2 houses. You know how many houses you could build in 5 years? And when you're talking about a franchise, you had Myles Garrett in 2020. You say you going to build for 3 more years. You said this in September with Shedeur on the ground, which means you knew who he was, but you ain't give a damn because you don't want it. You think Myles Garrett gonna still be there in 3 years? You think he gonna be at the top of his game? No, will have been replaced him with probably Carson Swessinger or Mason Graham. Shedeur shined today. I give Shedeur A- only because of the interception. Yeah, I don't knock him for that, but I get it. Yep, they acted in bad faith. Amber says she give him an A. Rebuilding since 2020. Facts. BJ said A+. 3 a.m. breaking news. Okay. Yeah. I don't care if it's at 3 a.m. DM me. Inbox me. Hit them in the pockets. They have enough money. I totally agree. Shedeur gets an A. Okay. How do you do a 5-year rebuild? You don't. You scam. Isn't that what scammers do? When scammers ask you for something or they get something from you or they got to pay it back or whatever. Oh, I'm going to give it to you. Oh, I'm going to give it to you. It's called stalling. I'm not rebuilding. I just don't want to tell you that I don't give a hell about this team. I just want you to watch and show up and make me $110 million at the gate because that's just pocket change. I want you to watch it on TV because I'm going to get that $400 million check. Reallocation. But again, I know people going to be like, but I want to watch Shedeur. I'm like, okay. Then leave the stadium empty. You got to do something. Pick one. If you want to give them a $400 million check, cool. But you need to leave that stadium empty. And they might not even care. Because the money comes from the TV. It says Stefanski didn't look so good today. Yeah, okay. I'm going to leave that one alone. Most snakes don't sometimes. When they shed their skin. It said They haven't even mentioned the playoffs. You see what I mean, Ray? You see what I mean? It came out after the Raiders game. Oh, Shedeur Sanders, they won the Raiders game. They are in the hunt for the playoffs. Imagine being a player on that team. And you know y'all can get to the playoffs. You've been on this team for 7 years like Wyatt Teller. Y'all got to the playoffs in 2023. Flacco got hurt. So they didn't put one of the quarterbacks in that helped them get there. They put in somebody that didn't play all season. That's Stefanski. They wanted to get there with Flacco, but he got hit. They don't want to get there with Shedeur. So they lost. They fixed the game. See, it's those kind of patterns on how they rotated all of the black quarterbacks that amassed a winning record. And then they took Deshaun out. They said he was injured. Then again, he was injured in 2024. The insurance company paid his salary. Guess what they saying now? He's unmovable and will likely never see the field. How can you be so sure? Because we had to pay you $230 million, likely because we retaliated against you and you had sense enough to make a decision for yourself to call it out. And now we have to be quiet about this scandal because a lot of white players who were involved with the Texans that are married, we don't want to expose them. We don't want to expose who all was in on MassageGate. We just wanted to use it against you. We know you was going to hire one of the best lawyers in the country because we think black people dumb. Checkmate. It said, where's Dylan's girlfriend now? Yeah, she does. Like a complete. You never know. She probably trying to find her man. I don't know. Probably trying to find her man. Hit the like button. We have over 350. Okay, thank y'all so much. It say facts. It said NFL is filled with gatekeepers. Yeah, it's worse than Hollywood. I really think so. I think it's worse than Hollywood. Shedeur Sanders is grown, way too smart to fall for their propaganda and bait questions. Yes, I like that. They are who we thought they were. Facts. A lot of people are starting to see, damn, I didn't know it was like this. Understand that. And see, a lot of people think it's the betting. I'm like, it's the racism. The racism is what's making the NFL the no fun league. Why do you have a guard stepping on Lamar's ankle? Why do you have a head coach and an O-line and receiver sabotaging a quarterback that got y'all to the playoffs? Why is this only happening to black quarterbacks? Why is it Pat Mahomes has to fight his way out this year? Because one drop, 17-32, and he counts to 17 black quarterbacks. They don't want to talk about that out loud. It said Bucky the Realist, a 39-minute video. Okay, all right, I have to go check it out. It said, chat, Jeffrey Simmons, Titans D lineman, says Jackson State practices were practically in his backyard. He states from his mouth, saying what we already know. Shedeur is in... What's that? Shedeur is a what? Correct that for me. Shedeur is a what? Let me know what you're saying. An unleashed baller? What does that mean? It said the Wildcat looked like a wild dog today. I don't know what the hell was going on. I was like, okay, why we keep trying the same thing over and over and over? We just don't want to win, so we got to do something. And the media not gonna talk about that. They know, but they not gonna talk about it. Stefanski is trying to lose the rest of these games for draft. It's not the draft, guys. The Browns have 2 first-round picks. The first one is sitting at number 5. I can trade number 5 to get to number 1. It's not the draft. It's the racism. This is what I mean. This is why this has been going on so long. Because people don't know what's really going on. They want to say, oh, it's the gambling. It could be. Oh, it's the draft. Okay. But how can you explain the cruelty towards Shedeur? Explain it. It's the racism. That's how you explain the cruelty, the dismissiveness, the discrimination, the holding back. If I was just in the playoffs with Flacco and I wanted to really get there, why wouldn't I be happy after a losing season, going 2-8, that Shedeur could resurrect it and turn it around? The fact that the media didn't even talk about it, the what-if imagery of Shedeur to make you think he was accepted finally. Talk of Myles Garrett breaking these records. He only need 4 more. They make Myles Garrett look crazy. They make the receivers look crazy. Or the people that drop the passes like Jerry Jeudy did last time. He made himself look crazy. But you see, he had some act right today. Even though his butt decide he want to flip. I'm like, why would you flip it to the end zone, Jerry? What if you had dropped the ball or somebody came along and stripped it? He is full of poor decisions. But thankfully, it was a touchdown. Whether he was posturing or not, with Shedeur at the end, I think this was a lot for him. The smoke was a lot for him. Stefanski is shielded by the smoke because the media takes up for him. The media didn't take up for Jerry. Stefanski did. And that smoke was too much for Stefanski's excuse. Stefanski was just happy the smoke was off of him. Now it's back. Thank you so much. Thank you for whoever was asking for my Cash App. Thank y'all so much. It said, where is Dylan? I don't know. To be honest, was he over there? I forgot he was on the team. I ain't gonna lie. I was looking at something, a practice video. I said, damn it, I forgot about him. Because why? All we heard about was Shedeur and Deshaun. Shedeur and Deshaun. That's it. So I forgot about Dylan. Not to be rude, but I just forgot about him. Yeah, it's an inside job. Facts. It's that you're telling the truth. See all those active coaches and players in trouble now for gambling. Right. And there are a lot of people who feel like they're not going to get that. They're not going to get that. I'm telling you, the Guardians player, I don't know if he on his way to jail or whatnot, but it's funny how I ran across that today. And I wasn't looking up anything with, I don't know how I got on that story. I wasn't looking for anything like that. But you see, maybe, you know how laptops and computers are. When you start searching, oh, you like Cleveland sports, and let me show you this. Somebody over here is going to jail for gambling. Let's see. And it said he was paid to lose games. I said Stefanski. It said, I'm going to show this to y'all so y'all can see for yourself. Understand what I've been saying up until now leads right into this situation right here. And the fact that this is happening in Cleveland and they still doing it. They crazy. See, when you find out something like this is happening up the street from your house and you doing the same thing, you supposed to stop. But it just seemed like the Browns going to keep going and keep going and keep going till everybody get roped up. It said, let me make sure I can share my screen so y'all can see. It says Guardians gambling refers to Major League Baseball involving Cleveland. How coincidental. And I wasn't looking for this story. Guardians pitchers Emmanuel Class and Luis Ortiz, who were federally indicted. So you can be indicted in November of 2025. Last week. Very, very, very recent. Last week, it was November. It said for allegedly rigging, keyword, rigging individual pitches to help gamblers profit from prop bets. So what happened today? The game was rigged. The Browns were supposed to win. Stefanski rigged the game with play calling and personnel so they could lose. And I just said there are some bettors that they know that they told or they became aware because they worked there that the Browns were planning to lose. You know how people know the Browns were planning to lose? Because nobody in Cleveland media talked about the playoffs. And now they're out of the playoffs. These people are betting based on, don't talk about the playoffs. I don't even have to tell you why. Rigging, illegal betting. It's the same thing. That's why it popped up on my computer. And I wasn't even looking for it. Both players pled not guilty, faced serious fraud charges, and could receive lifetime bans from baseball if convicted. Rising major concerns about game integrity and MLB's oversight. All you have to do is take out MLB, the names of the players, leave Cleveland, and put the Browns. That's all you got to do. And they going to keep doing it because they don't fear people going to look into them. For some reason, they feel like only the NBA going to get busted and only Major League Baseball going to get busted. But somehow, they are not going to get busted. So they keep on. That's it. I wasn't even looking for this story. And it popped right on up. That's it. That's it in a nutshell. That's what's going on. Too Legendary. Yep. TooLegendaryStore.com. Go there. And you reallocate. Yep. Just like the stock market. Insider trading. Same thing. Same thing. Stefanski needs to reap what he sowed. Yeah, I absolutely agree. I absolutely agree. I told you predictability is a strategy to let people know what's going on. Understand this, all of that intimidation and coercion and forcing Jerry Jeudy to be locker mates with Flacco, and then somehow he ended up to be friends with Dylan, but then he sell out Shedeur. How you think he got there? It started with steering him to Flacco. I'm telling you who you need to pair up with as a quarterback. See, I know you black, and I know you been to Colorado because I saw the video with you and Russell Wilson and the Broncos up there. So I know you know Shedeur. So I'm telling you who it is you need to align with. And then I'm making you think you're going to get the ball so you could be happy about Dylan. But if he was jealous of anybody, Harold Fanny Jr. has been getting the love. And let me tell you why. Because, see, he's a third round tight end. They devalued him. Don't be surprised if they draft a white tight end in the first round or guarantee money in the second round. That's why. For Jerry Jeudy to be mad at Shedeur when Harold Fanny Jr. is the leading wide receiver. And you know how I know this is a trend? Number 89 that dropped the ball for the Baltimore Ravens is a tight end. He disrupted these people's season last year. Kept them from going to the postseason, right? Why is Mark Andrews, a tight end, the leading wide receiver in Baltimore? Because the wide receivers are back and I'm black and I'm bypassing y'all. So guess who got the big contract? The 14-year white tight end that disrupted the season last year just got a 3-year, $36 million contract with $23 million guaranteed in his 14th year after dropping a pass that kept Lamar Jackson from advancing to closer to the Super Bowl. Quid pro quo is also illegal. Understand that. Understand that. Shedeur lit up the Titans. 4 touchdowns, passes to 300 yards in the elements. Facts. In the elements. So you know what he's going to do when the weather dry. And they were expecting the weather to hold Shedeur back. That's what's funny. They were truly expecting that. Instead, the NFL didn't want 12 to get the win over Cam first rounder. I mean, you can factor that too, but I promise you, it was more about the playoffs. It was more about the playoffs. Why? Because they didn't talk about it. They didn't even talk. How many people heard them talking about, oh my God, we in the playoffs. If Shedeur help us win this game, or if the Browns win, or Myles Garrett or the defense help us win the game, that could have been the talking point. They could have said, Myles Garrett can get 4 sacks. The Browns, they did not want to go to the playoffs. They were scared to death to beat the 49ers, which could look relieved at the end of that game. And they definitely did not want to beat. But see, they had to balance it out. I can't hold Shedeur back no more because there's people all over us. See, they getting that smoke too. But the organization is getting it. Right? But it still was more important to make sure we lost out the playoffs. If you can handle that for us. Now, at this point, they might voluntarily fire him just to calm everything down because the work is done. The goal was we didn't want to go to the playoffs. What's the goal now? I don't want Shedeur to be my franchise QB and how that's going to be disrupted. Let's see what happens. Because they had 2 opportunities to trade him. People said he should have been traded after the Panthers game. Let's see what they come up with next. I hope he don't get injured, because that's going to be hell to pay. All right, y'all. So I think I'm just about on my last few comments, even though it's still a whole lot. I just had to kind of zoom through. Football, it said facts. Shedeur's light is the only one bright enough to expose the plantation. Yeah, and that's really what it is. It's really Jim Crow, right? We don't want you. We don't value you. We'd rather lose with mediocrity because it's not black. So we avoid black excellence because we don't like black people. And why is it that we own an NFL team? So half of them should be forced to sell like Donald Sterling. If somebody would investigate, they know what they're going to find. That's why they're not investigating. How can every other league be out here? Major league. You have the NBA. You have MLB. And you going to tell me based on what we seeing since we arrived on the scene that the NFL shouldn't be investigated? Get the hell out of here. Because what's happening to Shedeur is happening to Lamar. It's happening to somebody else. Spencer Rattler. Shit. It was happening to Caleb Williams. Any update on Njoku injury? He stretched long and landed hard on his knee. No, not yet. Not yet. Not yet. It looked really fire and sent Stefanski to jail. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. I'm telling you. Orange jumpsuits and license plates. You see what happened to them MLB players. It said Pete Carroll threw the Super Bowl with Marshawn Lynch and Russell Wilson. See? It has happened before. They know what to do. They not tanking. They not tanking at all. They rigging games. That's illegal. It said, nah, Mark Andrews got that contract because the other tight end got hurt like the weeks before he signed his $50 million deal, which would have made Mark have to take less. Okay. All right. You go with that. You go with that. But you best believe if I ask you to drop a ball in the end zone to kill the preseason and I don't even consider trading you, I'm okay with what you did. That was reward for services rendered. Understand that. You will not believe how many daytime analysts are up live on a YouTube across all content. Kudos to you, my dear, for keeping the legacy going. All right. Thank you. On that note, I'm going to get out of here. Moderators, thank y'all. Members, thank y'all. 450 of us. We crossed to 503 or maybe 504 tonight. New Orleans, I don't know. But over 500 tonight. That's not really the goal, but we appreciate it. I definitely appreciate it. We'll be back tomorrow. We'll see what's shaking because, this situation is just going to keep exposing things. So we're going to be on it. Again, Stefanski get fired. Hit me up. Hit me up. All right, y'all. I'm going to get out of here. Y'all have a good night. Thank you for the engagement. I appreciate it, everybody. Thanks for watching What She Said Sports. Have a good night. Don't forget to say your prayers.